Deion Sanders. Do you guys remember Deion? He played in the NFL for a number of teams. I thought he was best known for his time in Dallas Cowboys. But Deion Sanders is now the head coach of a team, this is for football, called Jacksonville. Wherever it goes from there, Jacksonville State or the University of Jackson, I have the foggiest idea. I've never heard of them, but Deion did a interview, press conference. He took to the stage. The reporter asked a question, and he said, Deion, and then, comma, asked his question. Deion was so upset, he actually left the stage. He stormed out of the press conference, but before he left, he told the guy why I'm leaving. Hey, you wouldn't call Nick Saban, hey, Nick. You would call him Coach Saban. Deion wanted that same respect, and he stormed out. What do you think of that? And how does that work in life? I believe a coach should be called Coach. I think you can call a coach Mr. Sanders or Coach Sanders. I agree that you don't call him Deion. But I would agree that if you were one of the players, if you're the media, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I've never had that tested. When I coach kids, I don't like it when they call me my first name. I think that it's just how I was brought up. So I halfway get that, but I have seen other people demand of how they're going to be called, and there always seems to push back. I had a gal in my class, changed her name. This was after we graduated. None of us would call her her new name. We knew her entire life, and it wasn't because we were trying to be jerks. We couldn't remember that she changed her name. Nobody else had ever changed her name. We call her the same name that we knew her for the first 18 of our years of our life so much, she changed her name back. It's now the same name. And I can remember some celebrities. I remember The Rock not wanting this. The Rock, when he left wrestling, wanted to be called Dwayne, as in Dwayne Johnson, not Mr. Johnson or Mr. The Rock, but not The Rock. The Rock is a specific character, and he did not want to be known for that character. He wanted to be able to branch out and go and do everything from action to kids shows. And I remember when he was pretty bullish on this. Do not call me The Rock. That is a character. Give me a chance here. I remember that. I don't know that Dwayne got his way, but he was able to acquiesce and realize that people that remember me as The Rock like that. And this is who I've become. Just one example. But I have seen this a number of times, and it makes me remember I was with something called Bulldog Fight for a number of years. We were trying to get off the ground, and we were doing television shows. And we had some level of TV. I believe the network was called Ion at the time. Whatever the network, and no matter how obscure, we still had a presence and we were trying to gain. But it's relevant because when the announcer would come out and try to fire up the crowd so it looked good for TV, there was nothing to take the wind out of the sails of an audience more than somebody trying to get them going. And you should never have to ask the crowd for their approval. You should never have to beg them. You've either done your job and you got them hopping and bopping and waving and dancing to the beat, or you don't. It's a very baffling concept. I can remember back, and I was a young kid when this happened, but it was Jay Leno versus David Letterman. And David Letterman decides he's going to go head-to-head with Jay Leno, and he moves his show to 11:30 p.m. time slot, Pacific time, same time as Jay is going to take to the stage. And so there was this major back and forth, and there was this major media, and there's this war, and they'd be begging each other to watch. And they finally interviewed Leno, and I saw Letterman doing that a lot, begging people, watch me, I'm better, I'm funnier. And I remember when they finally asked Jay Leno, and Jay Leno said, no, I don't mind if you change the channel. He said, I have a job to do. If I do my job better than my competition, you won't turn the channel. And if I don't do it better, then you will. But that's your right as the consumer. I just remember that being Jay's answer. I also remember it 30 years later, and I remember respecting it. And if Deion Sanders, in my opinion, feels that he is being disrespected because he's not being called coach, or he's not being called Mr., or he's not being treated the same as Nick Saban, I don't know that he needs to take that out on the media. I would feel as though he needs to look at the man in the mirror and say, what is it that I'm doing different? Why is Nick Saban not called Nick? Why is he called Coach? Why is he called Mr.? Why am I called Deion? He might not hate the answer, by the way. He might think people are more familiar with me. They know who I am. They followed my career. Everybody who looks at Nick looks at him as a mister, and you only call mister to old people. Nick's old. They still think I'm young. I mean, right, he might not hate the answer. There is something about it when somebody's coming out and telling the audience what to think, being angry when they don't get what they want, and storming off. Because if you're not being called what you want, it's a respect issue. Any of you that call somebody by the wrong name on purpose or refuse to call them by what they want to be called on purpose, you know you're being a jerk. You wouldn't want that done back to you. But you also don't respect that person. You also don't care what they want to be called. In your opinion, it doesn't matter what their name is. You're going to call them what you want to call them, and there's going to be a level of truth to that. So if Deion Sanders is some leadership of position of leadership, if he wants to command respect, if he wants to be treated in a certain way, he's likely going to have to look inside first. There's a reason that person thought it was okay to call him Deion, which in the world of who's wrong here, his name is Deion. That guy wasn't being a jerk. He didn't call him Walter. He called him by his name. I would suggest that Deion not hide, not be a crybaby about it, keep to the podium and say in the future, please call me Coach Sanders. My suggestion.